Hey YouTube, this is Eddie, and this is part of my odyssey, my journey into some old phones. Some of these are old phones I owned, old phones I reviewed when I was regularly doing that, phones I wanted, or phones that are just plain interesting. Now, if you want me to make a video on some of the other ones, let me know. I've got a Microsoft Lumia 735 Windows phone that I got for like 30 bucks or 40 bucks or something like that. And I love Windows Phone. I wish something like it would come back. I also got a BlackBerry Z10 Developer Edition. If you know anything about this phone, let me know, because I loved these back in the day. But on this Developer Edition evaluation unit, I can't get past the setup because it wants to pull the warranty information down, and that URL is long gone. So anyway, what we have in front of us here today, I owned this phone. This is not my phone. I bought this one off eBay with another Samsung phone I didn't want. But really, what we have here is, in my opinion, the coolest feature phone. That's what they were called at the time. You had feature phones to distinguish your plain phones with features that might be smart or might be capable with your smartphones. And so they called these feature phones. Flip phones, of course, also was commonly used. And this came out in May of 2009. To put things into perspective, I think we have to do that when talking about the Alias 2. In the smartphone landscape, we didn't have much. The only Android phone popularly available, or I guess somewhat available, in May of 2009 was the HTC G1, or the HTC Dream, I think it was also called, the first Android phone ever. And then the iPhone, they had the 3G out. So the original had been discontinued, the 3G was out, and the 3GS, which would address a lot of complaints about the 3G version, was still, I think, a month or two away. Compiled onto all of this, most people had feature phones, flip phones like what I'm holding here, because the data plans on the carriers were extremely expensive. And you had some exclusivity going on. So the iPhone, seems weird now, but was only available on one carrier in the United States. That was AT&T. And the HTC Dream, or the G1, was only available on T-Mobile. So very interesting, but again, this was what most people were carrying. Not the Alias, of course, specifically, but something like the Alias. A phone which had some capabilities, like an internal and external screen, like capacity for micro SD. This did have a micro, well, it still does have a micro SD card that could support up to 16 gigs, which was a lot of storage at the time. In comparison, the internal storage of this phone was just 100 megabytes, and that also had to contain, of course, the operating system and the software and all the rest. And so, again, we found ourselves in this landscape in 2009, and in 2009 I was 11 years old. And this was actually my second phone. My parents, I was biking all over the place. They wanted to get me a phone to be like, contact them and all that. And so the unique thing about the Alias 2 is that it has this really cool feature when you open it. Okay, sure, we've got, it's in power save mode already. We've got a typical flip phone experience here, right? We could start dialing a particular number, and you just put that in, put in a number. Okay, cool. We could try and call that. Of course, this has no service, but we could try and do that. We could do options here, add a 2-second pause, which is interesting. There's a lot of features that just aren't on phones anymore that were on these. Add from contact, add from recent call, new text, picture, or video. This did have a camera on it. So this is a typical flip phone experience, nothing too crazy here. But when you close the phone, which you can do, we've got the moving the lighter background. This was at a time when GIFs weren't really a thing. So to have a moving background, again, this was cool stuff back in the day. But this phone also opens this way. So we've got a dual opening phone, and then I don't know if you saw that, the keys actually switched. So now there's a full QWERTY keyboard with actually decent reach. I remember typing pretty good on this thing. And then you can close this, open it this other way. It's hard to do because there's rubber reversion down here, so it gets sticky. So we see the numbers, and then boom, it switches over. So that was the really cool thing about this phone. I'll show you a picture. Again, this is the Alias 2. I never had the Alias 1, but this is a picture of the Alias one. So you can see this did not have the same setup, the e-ink screen under the keys. This just had your typical hard keys, but then if you rotated it, the buttons for the phone number would be oriented correctly. So this is a huge leap forward for this line of phones. And I remember as a kid, man, again, this was the coolest non-smartphone that there was. I mean, no doubt about it. I remember I had 250, or maybe it was 500, maybe it changed, messages per month. So I couldn't message any more than that without really expensive overage fees. And it does have things like voice recognition, right? A little advanced type stuff. It did also have a bit of a weird media focus as well to it. So we've got your play, pause, and you can see maybe these light up actually when you push them. But we've got play, pause, back and forward. It would display your music. Again, you've got the micro SD card slot for expandable memory. And there is a headphone jack, but it's not a 3.5-inch jack. And I actually never had headphones that would fit in this jack. But there was this media focus on the outside of it. You could theoretically plug headphones in, listen to music, play, pause. The volume rocker is over here, so you could do that. We've also got on the side here, I don't know what that is. We'll have to test this button out. We've got the power button over here. We've got, this looks like a hold. I don't know if that puts the call on hold. I don't know. But this was the really cool feature of that device, is the switching keys to give you a full layout in 2 different directions. And again, this was really cool for the time. It's really cool today. I mean, there's no phone that was really made like it since. And so let's go through a little bit of the features of the device. But first I'll show you how you would compose, a message. So if I hit message here, I can hit new message. I can also see what's in my inbox for messages, what texts I've sent, drafts, voicemail messages as well. Visual voicemail, so you could see it on the screen. I know that's commonplace now, but it wasn't then. Also mobile IM, so when instant messenger was a thing, that was able to be accessed here. But again, some of these things required an expensive data plan in order to access, and the functions here were fairly limited. And so I didn't have access to those. Chat, I don't know what that ever was. I never used that. But anyway, if I compose a new message, I can do it in this view. I can also push the device down like that. I know this looks better for the camera, but in reality, it was not ever nicer to use it like that. I always have it propped up like this, but I'll put it down for the video. So you'd start typing. You can see the default here goes to text. So you can type, or if there were contacts in here, you could type the name of that contact and it would show up as autofill. So if I start typing like Jim, for example, it would populate Jim. I could scroll down and pick Jim. Alternatively, if I knew the number I wanted to text, you can hit that button right there. We can see things change to symbols, to numbers, so I could put in a number if I wanted to instead. And so once I have that done, I can scroll down here and start composing my text message. So I can say, something like what, and people would text mostly in the T9 style. I know people don't remember that these days, but where the phone was straight up. So this could enable you to compose text really good. Even if I wanted to put in an apostrophe, let's see where it is. It's over here, I think. I can do that pretty rapidly, and man, am I out of touch. I used to be a wizard at this thing. So I can say, what's up? And you can see how quick this changes. It just goes so fast. It's going boom, boom, boom. Just really fluid, really powerful, especially impressive for what was going on at the time in terms of just the amount of computing power we had. It just wasn't what we have today. So I can keep typing. Man, I got to correct my typos. I can say, how are you? Let's go get that. So I can see, I didn't even put a space in there, but I can see what's up, how are you? And then I could go into my options, insert quick text. So you could have these pre-canned things that you could actually make a new one. So if you didn't want to type like what's up to people, because again, right, it takes a while, you could have these pre-canned quick texts that you could customize on the device. So just again, some weird quirks of early cell phone computing. I could say this as a draft. There's a priority level. So you used to be able to set priority levels for texts, which would work on some phones and carriers, not others in terms of importance. Callback number, that used to be a thing. And so, you know, if I hit send, it won't do anything because I have no service, but it'll say, hey, do you want to send? If you have no service, do you want to send when you do? And I could say, sure, yeah, I do. So it's going to save to sent, and it'll actually send that, of course, if I ever had service. Now, we've also got, again, a lot of other things in here. So I'll open to this. And it's interesting in the modern era, 2026, holding a phone like this, because if we take a look at something like my OnePlus, which is a big phone, but my OnePlus 13, if I hold up the phone, you can see how the entire footprint of the phone, at least in this direction, fits within the footprint of the phone and then some. So we're used to holding these big phones nowadays, and this was, I mean, so compact, certainly by comparison. So let's take a look and a gander around the rest of the phone now in the vertical orientation. Now, one of the cooler things about this phone is that there were various themes that you could apply. This was, again, a big deal. So I can come over here to settings and tools. We just saw the theme there. I can go, I think it's in display settings. I was messing around with this a little bit. You could change the wallpaper, so you could change it from things you took or the pre-done ones, just like any phone today. The display themes, yeah, this was interesting. So you could do black, you could do white. You can see that that is changing a lot of things. You could do gliss, whatever that is. Let's see what gliss is. I don't remember this one. Yeah, just a different sheen over top. And then what else do we have in the display settings? Again, pretty fluid, right? I mean, we're scrolling through things pretty quick. I'm pressing the button, it's responding instantly. I mean, there's no, I'm surprised at how fluid it is for a non-smartphone with a limited hardware, limited memory that came out in 2009. Anyway, there's this other weird theme called My Place. So if you go back, I'll go back to the main menu. So the background changes to white, the Verizon Wireless here. And then if we go in here, it looks like a dorm room or something. So we've got the same apps, the same icons, it just looks differently. The media center's like this folder, ringtones are these bells, contacts is like a literal like paper contact book, settings and tools is a toolbox, and then up there somewhere, yeah, recent calls, we got messages. So just some, you know, weird stuff that you just don't really see too much anymore. I'm going to change this for my own nostalgia's sake. I'm going to change this back to the one that I used to use. I recognized it immediately. Maybe you'll judge me for this one, but I did use the slick black theme everywhere that I had. I think because I like this green. For whatever reason, the slick black theme has a green menu. You could do things like change fonts. So you could go normal or large for some of the fonts in the tools. You could change things like the main menu settings, so the layout, a grid, a list, or a tab. So let's take a look at some of these. The point is that I'm trying to make here, I mean, it's certainly a nostalgic trip down memory lane, but there was also a lot of customization in these early phones. I mean, we think about Android being super customizable. We think about iOS not being super customizable, but then of course, now being more customizable. But even these older phones certainly had a lot of customization present. And so this is a list view. So if I go in these, it'll break down my options versus just me selecting the large tile. As you can see, there's actually one in the sent folder. That's the one that we queued up to be sent earlier. So it's kind of a good way at a glance to see what's going on, which I didn't use this when I was a kid, but maybe I should have. The media center, again, there's this weird media focus with this phone, even though this wasn't a big media phone. But we had music and tones. Ringtones were big at the time. I remember my parents let me buy a ringtone, and it connected to the internet. I had to connect to the internet to buy the ringtone, and that was a big deal. It was like $5 or something. We got picture and video. We got games, but we don't have a lot of these things pre-installed. So if I go into games, and there's no games. I would have to go get new applications. So this had some version of an app store where I could download free games, I assume, or get paid games, and that's all through Verizon. And so again, just a lot of interesting things. I don't remember the phone having these things. Maybe it's just because I didn't use them, or I didn't have them, or my parents didn't let me buy them. There is a mobile web browser. So again, is it a smartphone? No, but it had some, you could browse again on a really expensive data plan. All right, well, the camera SD card filled up, so we're back where we left off through the magic of video editing, but I was able to find some more information about this phone. Now, this did have a lot of expensive data plans. That was a big thing in CNET's original review. It does have a 2 megapixel camera. I couldn't actually find that, so let's take a photo really quick. Let's do that. Let's go. How do I even access the camera? Is that what this button is? Let's see what these various buttons are for. I'm holding this button. I can't even see. There's something etched on it. I can't even see what it is. Oh. Message 555564. Well, you know, it didn't quite work. It didn't quite work. That activated the voice commands. That's interesting. That's let's see what we can do. Go to settings and tools. Boom, we're in settings and tools. And again, this was big at the time, right? Siri itself, right? That was the first big, voice assistant. When that came out, it wasn't until 2011. So this phone came out in 2009, and clearly it's not as capable as Siri, and that could connect to the internet and do, right? Could it do a lot more? Of course. But just to have something like this in a phone like this was novel, and really, right? Again, this is in an era of mobile computing when everything was new, everything was fun, everything was fresh. And even if, let's say, for example, that there was someone who had heard of Siri, a lot of people hadn't used it when it came out, or a lot of people hadn't used some of these features yet because they were on an older phone or whatever. I mean, things were moving at such a rapid pace technologically at the time. All right, let's see if we can get to this camera. I don't know what's going on with that. No camera button on here. How do we take a dang photo? Oh, here we go. There's actually a key for it, looks like. So there's a key for it. Looks like there's a camera and then a video camera. So we've got a key for that, which is nice. We've also got a key to get into messages, a mute key, and then there's another voice key. So we have a software key and a hardware key. All right, we're starting the camera. Here's my keyboard right up here. And my TV's on. It's telling me I have no signal. So let me take a photo of that. Oh man, all 2 megapixels. It looks weird, right? It looks like there's almost like a curve to the no signal, right? It's a TV. It's obviously it's a flat screen, so that's Let's try again. I'll try and hold the phone with 2 hands, get a little steadier. Let's see what we got. All right, that's better. But geez, you better not move. You better not move your hand at all, right? We're used to being able to take things pretty optically stabilized today. Clearly not the case back in the days. Let's see what options we have. So you can do a few different things in here. There is a night shot mode. That's interesting. I don't remember ever using that. A self timer. We can change the quality, fine, normal, or economy. We're going to leave that on the highest quality we possibly can. Oh, there's my hand. Hello. You can see the difference in the camera, right? So let's hold my hand up. You can see what that's doing, distortion to my hand color versus obviously the much better lens here in the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. We can change the resolution. I don't know how that's any... Oh, okay. The resolution of the photo. You can take some pretty small photos. What other things we got in here? We got multi-shot. What is that? Series shot. Oh, this can do panoramas? Are we for real? A 240 by 320 panorama? The amount of, let's see how this turns out. The amount of advanced features that this has. Oh, I have to be in this little box. Okay. Now we're going to pan over to this little box. I don't want to pan over anymore. Let's see what this does. Okay, that created it pretty quick. It looks horrible. I mean, you can see there's the bottom of my keyboard. It doesn't actually look like that. I mean, this looks absolutely terrible. There's a pattern to the mouse mat. You can see it's like totally cut off. It totally looks like 3 images were just bam, bam, bam stitched together. But an early implementation of something like a panorama shot, that's interesting. I mean, imagine if you were sold a phone and they said, hey, this phone has night shot. You can change the quality. You can do a multi-shot. You can do an auto shot. So then that will, I don't even know what this will do. What will auto shot do? We might never find out. I mean, to have all these features at the time, a camcorder, of course, right? You can do video. Let's do that. Oh boy. Oh, we can record a maximum of 30 seconds of video. What options do we have here? Self-timer, quality camera. Let's do quality. That's an economy. Oh, I can't change the options. So perhaps to record in higher resolution, you have to put in an SD card? I mean, that would make sense. This phone has basically no storage in it whatsoever. Let's see if we can record something. All right, it is recording. I can pan around. Here's my hand. Let's get the watch in the shot. Oh boy. You can see there's the watch, and there's the watch in the camera. It doesn't look quite so blown out in real life, but it's pretty bad. Let's see. Did this even pick up much? Here's the little media player.
It is recording. I can pan around. Here's my hand. Let's get the watch in the shot. Oh boy. You can see there's the watch.
I take it back. It looks just as bad on camera almost as it does in real life. And it saves it in this weird format too. 3G2. Okay. Very strange, very strange. The speaker actually sounded pretty good. Obviously the quality of the audio wasn't, but the speaker sounded pretty good. Let's see if we have any other features that are worth noting. I don't really think so. You know, you got your missed calls and things. My Verizon, that could let you see. I remember I would look in that. It would connect to the internet to show a Verizon page. That would show me how close I was to my messaging limit. There are some tools in here. Calculator, calendar, alarm clock, stopwatch, for example, right? You can just start the stopwatch. Let's see if we leave the stopwatch, if it keeps going. So it was at about 3. We got a world clock, which is interesting. Stopwatch? No, it just resets itself, so it won't go in the background. You could do USB mass storage, so you could connect this to a computer and put things on it, presumably through the SD card as well. So just a few tools in here, nothing too crazy. A notepad for notes. This did have Bluetooth, but I don't know what the Bluetooth. I mean, you could connect a headset, but you know, we were well short of the years you could connect it to a car, for example, and I think that did kill the battery life pretty significantly. If we go into call settings, what do we have in here? Oh yeah, we've just got general things, assisted dialing and so on. So that's really, I don't know, that's probably about it here for the Samsung Alias 2. Again, the hallmark feature is definitely not the rubber reversion. You can see it, so I got on my hand here, but it's definitely not the rubber reversion. It is the keyboard. And that was the big deal. It switched over quick. You could get things going as fast as you wanted. And if you just start typing, it would open a text message. So you could go from, oh, I really need to get back to someone, right? You have that, oh, someone just texted me, I got the text notification, I need to text back, or I need to compose a text message really quickly. Great. Open it, boom, 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 just start typing, and you can go. And clearly, right, I started typing and I didn't actually put anything in as far as who to send it to. If I send it, it'll say, no, you can't do that. Oh man, this thing just flew right off. Oh boy. The joys of that. But I can go to options, save as text, add. I could actually get a recipient for this. I'm going to not save this message. Pretty gross looking at some old phones, but man, this was just, again, such a highlight feature of the phone, and I think, again, the coolest non-smartphone ever made. If you have a submission, let me know. Maybe I'll try and pick another one up if you think that something is the best non-smartphone ever made, and you have something that you're convicted in. Hey, this one's the best. Let me know. This is Eddie. Break from your normal watch content. Wearing a Shinola Runwell automatic. What are you wearing? Leave it in the comments down below. Leave a like, subscribe. I have some affiliate links in the description as well. So check those out, and I will see you in the next video.